Midnight music.
So yeah, no, I'm a little bit backlogged in video games. Like I said, I just started Ratchet and Clank, ripped apart,
Like the OG or the remake?
ripped apart.
Okay.
The
I'm like,
PlayStation 5 one.
I've never played one. I've never played one because I didn't have a PlayStation when I was young. So
Gotcha.
that could be on that could be on a future
Do
backlog.
you
But
have PlayStation Plus subscription service? I'm assuming not.
I don't think so. I had one where you get games every month.
Yeah, so they it was like I forgot what it was, but they combined it. So it's called PlayStation Plus like all together. And so you can still
Yeah.
get games every month, but if you get like I forgot which tier it is, like if you get the middle tier, which is the one I have, you can get PS4 and PS5 games for free and they have a catalog of it. And they keep on adding
Yes.
stuff. So like for instance, like I have both Horizons and I didn't pay for them. And
Okay.
that's how I got Ratchet and Clank ripped apart.
You know what I think I do? Because my dumb ass with my somewhat primitive internet, I got the a good tier on a good deal. So I'm like, hey, you can play a PS2 game, but you got to stream it. So
Okay, you
I
gotcha.
I'm aging myself here because there was a game on there. If you're familiar with a website called
I
homestarrunner.com,
remember Homestar Runner.
so Strong Bed's cool game for attractive people is on this one of these tiers. But I was lagging so hard, like it was like I was on a 56K modem in 1998. I was
Wow.
just but then I couldn't refund it because I bought like some kind of deal with it for a year or some shit.
Ouch.
So I'm stuck with it until next April. But there's been a few good downloaded games. There was unless I paid for it, Watch Dogs Legion was on there recently, and I know someone who worked
Watchdog
on that.
Legions is fun.
It is. I barely started it because like a relative of a friend of mine was on like the story writing crew, I think.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you play any of the other Watchdogs?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be a little bit weird. So in the other series of Watchdogs, you followed one person, and they were essentially like an ultra hacker and blah 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 blah, and all of this stuff. And you went around Chicago. That's how I learned about the city of Chicago before I visited it. Like I played the original Watchdogs was based in Chicago.
Taekwon.
What's Saquon say?
I was saying something vulgar.
Oh, of course. Taquan, you're going to be in the short list for guests. I'm going to explain that when we get started. I'm going to need some guest hosts. So the first one was in Chicago, the second one's in San Francisco, and this one they went over to London. But like, it doesn't follow one person; it follows multiple people.
Yes.
Because you get like anybody can be a part of this group in this hacker thing. And Fretz, I'm going to throw it up in Discord for you. The PlayStation Plus stuff. just so you just so you can see the different tiers. And what's cool about this as compared to freaking Xbox is
Oh,
you can pay per year. So you don't have to pay like every month. You can just pay a flat fee per year.
that's what I did. Yeah.
Hmm.
Huh. Yeah, they get good games on there, but then again, I have a backlog. I also just Mario Wonder is a short game if you're doing
Hmm.
straight up, but now I'm doing all extras in it, and that game is so much fun. It's so good.
Yeah, so
Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights. A lot of people I heard hate that.
people didn't like it, but like now it's free, and so like I might do it. Like actually, if I can convince Charles to do it, maybe me, you, and Charles and like co-op a Gotham Knights and just do a run through.
Ooh, tempting.
You know,
Because now that I have all my space on my
there you
PS5,
go.
I, I can still. I'm gonna get Red Dead on there, but I'm gonna need to just leave my Xbox on for a week to do that.
Yeah, so what I have is the middle tier. I have the extra tier, which gives me like the monthly games, the online multiplayer, but discounts, and then like the game catalog and Ubisoft classics as well. I don't need like the premium because that goes all the way back to like PS2 and PS3 days, and so like I don't really need that. So I just have the middle tier, And you pay for it. You pay for it once a year. Like mine's coming up in January, and
I would like some of those PS2 games, but then they're remaking Toomba at some point, and that's a game I've been looking for since I was 14.
yeah. So definitely look into that for PlayStation stuff because that's how Charles and I got the golf game.
Okay,
The,
'cause I did look at it and I'm like, it was not free. I'm like,
yes.
I'm not paying for golf. I haven't played anything since Tiger Woods like '05.
It's fun. We discovered you can play as like John Cena in that game too.
Oh my Lord. That's
It's
phenomenal.
it's very it's very very fascinating. That's up, but yeah, Fretz. I would if you do get the PlayStation Plus stuff and do like at least that middle tier. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's awesome on PS5. Load times are like non-existent. I've never played any of the Ratchet and Clanks before either, but it reminds me of like kind of it reminds me of Sonic.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Sonic, but it's really fun. It's a pretty simple game, but it's a fun game to play.
All
It's
right.
entertaining. For me, I'm very entertained by it. It's not that hard to play. The commentary is actually kind of funny. Like the villains are kind of like the main villain is called Doctor Nefarious. I was like, oh, this is going to be a trip, isn't it?
Oh, Dr. Horrible sing along. Here we go.
So, so I would highly recommend it if you do go by route. Let me know, because then we can do Gotham Knights, and we can all just kind of co-op and just go pretty nuts with it.
That's great. I would like that.
Yeah, it's,
Gotham Knights. Yes, because I actually had the Arkham. They released the Arkham trilogy, and I got it for dirt cheap, like the re-upped ones.
the Arkham games might be free if you do the PlayStation Plus Essential thing. Um,
Who's this? Oh, it's a scammer.
Scammer,
Frick
who
off.
are you, scammer?
Uh,
Get out of here.
I should just be an admin on these chats so I can just get rid of these. I was that for Warren Hayes for years, but he switched nights and I can't go to his streams
I need to
anymore.
bring on Warren Hayes actually. No, I can admin so I can control what gets on there or not. So I just blocked him from the chat, so he's out of there.
I've seen some of my messages not on there. I get it.
No, no, no. I don't block you from the chat, but no.
I know.
I mean, I haven't blocked Taquan yet, which is very surprising. What's going on?
Taquan will get us demonetized.
We need to get monetized first. Oh,
Oh, that too.
nah.
Yeah, we don't make Twitch partner numbers yet.
I don't want to make Twitch. If we ever made, if we made the
Don't
level of
do it.
Twitch partnership, I wouldn't want to do it.
Don't.
Now
I know enough people who've been it, and it's
you get locked
not
in.
that close.
I don't
Yeah.
want to be locked in. I want to kind of have the freedom to kind of maneuver and kind of do whatever we want to do, which is what we do right now.
Yes.
You know,
Exactly.
piped in audio and all.
Oh, oh, we're not gonna go there. We don't have
No,
to call people out, do we?
no, no, no. We're not. I found it funny. I was on our Instagram. And he put it on like their Instagram. It was like the first thing. He was still bitching about piped in audio, and I will say this: if you are so concerned about audio of or anything or whatever, it's like I attribute it to the people who also complain about CGI in a movie, like who complain
Oh,
all the
yes.
time. If you are so hyper focused on everything else, you're not paying attention. Like you're,
And wrestling's fun.
yeah,
It's supposed to be fun. Like, yeah, do they maybe they lower the mic or something? Because I mean, come on, it's funny stuff. He's getting booed and
yeah,
drowning him out. It's funny.
yeah.
Part of his gimmick.
Exactly. Like enjoy the show. I'm just like if you're so hyper focused on other stuff, like you've lost the reason why you're watching in the first place.
Exactly. Just everyone's a critic.
Yeah, I'm like relax, guy. Um, but whatever. I'm not gonna argue or talk about people who are totally insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And we will leave it at that.
I just want to enjoy my Scotchy Scotch, and talk some
Ooh,
wrestling.
what type of scotch do
Have
you
some,
have?
I forget. It's not a Glenfiddich. It's not
Ooh,
Lagavulin.
Glenfiddich would be really nice.
Glenfiddich is very nice. Lagavulin is my favorite, but it's $150 a bottle.
I bet it is.
I think it might be I forget what I have because I had my last one was Lafrogue.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually might be like a Glenfiddich, but like a different one, like a different age.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a blue case. It's really nice.
Nice, nice. Oh, so Fretz, I do need to tell you this as I'm still on my geek out stuff, and I'm also initiating what is now going to be known for me as Avenger November. So I think I'm just going to watch a different Marvel movie like every day for the month of November.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. So I have a I like to watch reaction videos on YouTube sometimes, or a lot of the time recently.
Yep.
They're fun, and there's a lot of people who just react to Marvel movies, and there's a whole varied bunch of people who watch them. And I also find it funny that but a lot of people who don't become who become Marvel fans after like getting halfway through, like I'm addicted. I'm like, welcome, you're late. Um, but this YouTuber that I follow, whose true name is Jacqueline Helmers, reacts with Jax. Um, she just got to Infinity War.
Oh, ho, 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 you poor
Yeah,
soul.
yeah, she was not happy. It's in part one of Infinity War. And so she's like, she also does a bunch of other movies and stuff too. But she's like, everybody who liked my Infinity War reaction so much is like, I'm just gonna institute Avenger November, and I was like, I'm gonna do that too, and just watch different Avenger movies, like or different Marvel products, every day of November, and I'm literally like Iron Man's on the TV right now. So far so good.
OG Iron Man?
OG
Like,
Iron Man.
like OG Iron Man. That's
It's
fun.
part of a triple feature
Yeah.
on FX right now, but it's still good. But
Oh, that,
I say that to say this. So I think when I was at Comic Con, I bought a book called "The Reign of Marvel Studios." I think I told you about this.
you
So
did.
I started reading it, and I think you would really like it, Fretz. Especially you like the ins and outs of how things were made. It's really good. It goes all the way back to the 90s with Marvel.
Okay, so are we doing like some of their movies or even their cartoon properties,
Mm-hmm.
X-Men being in
Do you
particular,
know?
which is 30 years ago this
Do
year?
you know why X-Men and them were made?
I think I've heard this, but you're gonna have to just remind me.
So Marvel went bankrupt in the early 90s.
Yes.
This is everything that I've read thus far. I'm like 100 pages in, and I started like Sunday night. By the way, that's how like very into this I am at the moment. It's also a simple enough read. Um, so Marvel went bankrupt, and long story short, they were bought out by a toy company.
Yeah.
It was called Toy
Okay.
Biz, and so essentially the brain trust that be of a toy company, their motto with Marvel, because Marvel had a lot of debt to pay off, they were like, we will license out our superheroes, which is a bunch of them. For instance, Iron Man was licensed to New Line Cinema for like 8 years before it got back to Marvel, before they made their first movie, and because New Line Cinema had the rights to an Iron Man movie that was never made. It just they had the rights sitting on the shelf. Also, Tom Cruise was going to be Tony Stark in one iteration of the movie, but Tom Cruise turned it down.
Okay. That's interesting. That is actually very interesting.
So it gets even better. All right, so with the company Toy Biz, they would license out their properties to different publishers and stuff, and be like, you can get the revenue from that, but we want to get all the revenues of the toys. They created X-Men and the Spider-Man stuff so they can make toys. because those people bought, because the cartoon was a great way to make toys. That's how they did it.
Exactly. And I was a customer, and I know someone who was a voice actor on that show
That's
too.
awesome. It gets even crazier. So around the time, so eventually they get to making the first X-Men movie and all of that. And the director of the first two X-Men, Bryan Singer,
Yes.
they also talk about the Raimi verse and how, because Sam Raimi was like an unknown quantity in Hollywood before he made Spider-Man.
That's right.
you know, but in particular in X-Men, the director wanted to kind of craft his own version of the X-Men and not use any of like the comic book stuff. And a lot of the actors were like, well, how the hell am I going to know about my character's background if I don't know? So the director, Bryan Singer, banned comic books on set. Yeah, banned them. But there was one little assistant or production assistant, some low level staff member that kept sneaking comic books to all the actors so they can learn the background of their character. Do you want to know who that
Yes.
staff member was?
Is he an actor in any recent movie?
No, he is
I
not.
mean, recent as in,
No, he
is he a comic book artist? Is it Kevin Smith?
no, but it was a freshly out of UCLA grad. I think he was interning on the project or something like that. But fresh out of UCLA graduate named Kevin Feige.
Oh, oh yes. Oh, what a guy.
Kevin Feige
What a
has
hero.
been was behind a lot of the X-Men stuff in that movie because he just started engulfing the knowledge of it.
Which is how we got, the Days of Future.
Days of Future
I
Past.
mean, this is way, way later, but I'm thinking we get people like that governor who wants to like segregate the mutants, and then we get X-Men 3 we don't talk about. We do not talk about X3.
I liked
Uh,
X3. I get it. Different director was kind of put together, but I was fine with X3. The Phoenix stuff, she was good for what it was worth. They did a better job when they redid it on Apocalypse. And no, Apocalypse is not a great movie.
oh, I'm furious because Apocalypse is one of my favorite villains, and they just I wanted to love it. I desperately wanted to love
Yeah.
that movie, but as Apocalypse in the cartoon.
So it gets so I'll leave it on this. So I got to the part where unfortunately, apparently the idea started in Mar-a-Lago, which is the resort that Donald Trump created in Florida, where he hid all the documents, among other things. Um, but so this guy who was part of Marvel, one of the higher ups, wanted the idea to create Marvel Studios and start making their own property, start making their own stuff, and things like that. Only problem is they had no money, and selling off the rights to their people, they had to wait for some of these rights to come back. So they needed money, so they needed to go to a big firm to be like, hey, we need money to create a couple of movies, essentially. So they go to Merrill Lynch. Merrill Lynch, then we're like, we need money to make these movies. We're going to work on getting a distributor to distribute the movies and everything like that. And so they put up a bunch of the rights of some of their characters as collateral. Some of those characters being Cloak and Dagger, which is a pretty good series, a television show. Black Panther, Doctor Strange was up for collateral for this loan, and a couple of other characters as well. So Maryland says we will give you $525 million as a loan, and you have to make make four movies to get the money back, to like give the money back. So they got to make over 525 million gross to pay them off. And so the deal's almost in place. All of a sudden, last second, Merrill Lynch is like, wait a second, actually, we want you to come up with a third of that money before we give you the rest. So here's the thing. So what ended up happening was, as part of that original deal, Merrill Lynch or whatever, they waived their rights to the American revenue from the movies, and they would have to, and they were just going to make the revenue off of the foreign box office. Said to do a pre-sale and stuff. So what ended up happening was they negotiated with Merrill Lynch and said, "We will try in good faith to make a third of the money. We will make a good faith attempt to get a third of the money," which leaves them off the hook for like if they don't make it. Well, in a good faith attempt, but if we don't make it, like you're still going to give us the rest of the money. And Merrill Lynch is like, okay, deal. So they got the money. Then they needed a distributor to distribute it, and it was Paramount Pictures. Because if you look at the original Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, it's Paramount on there. It's not anybody else. So Paramount says, we will distribute 6 movies for you. And those 6 movies became phase 1 of the MCU. Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, Avengers. All Paramount distribution.
All right.
And almost on Iron Man alone, they almost made all of their money back.
I was just gonna say it took one movie. I saw Captain America and Avengers both on opening night. And yeah, they would have made it. Like my friend dressed up as Fury.
That's awesome.
Like he's short, bald, black, goatee.
Nice.
All he needed
the
was
eye patch.
He already had the coat, so he's like eye patch. It's like, it's Rory. I'm like, oh, I'm Agent Fury. and that was technically my going away party to when I moved here.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Smiley, how are you? Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Smiley.
Very, very good.
I hope you're good.
Yes, I hope you are too. We are going to get started in just a moment with no, obviously, background audio because that'll be put on in post, aka when I get off this and do all of this.
Midnight music. That'll help you out.
Yeah, right? Among other things, and so will probably Iron Man and stuff going on. But we are going to get started. It's going to be a pretty cut and dry show for the most part. Obviously, it's going to be the bare bones version until I jazz it all up in post, including piping in all of that audio. Work was exhausting. I totally understand. So without further ado, Fretz, are we ready to go?
Let's go.
All right. Okay, hold on a second. Let me make sure I'm doing all of this correctly. So that makes it a lot easier for me to edit. Hold on. Let's just pull up all of this other stuff.
And MJF is now the longest reigning AEW champion. Woohoo!
Oh, that's gonna favor into what I'm gonna talk about when we get to World's End or what have you. But are you ready, Fretz?
I'm ready.
All right, we are gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2. Coming up this week on Kings of the Rings podcast, King Rickie and Mr. Fretz preview this weekend's Crown Jewel event as well as some other things going on in the world of wrestling within the past couple of weeks, like Sting's announcing his retirement. Hopefully it's real this time. A review of NXT Halloween Havoc. Fantastic, if you ask me myself. And 2 brand new events for AEW and WWE. It is PLE crazy. I was almost going stir crazy by myself, and so therefore I brought on Canadian royalty, Mr. Fretz. It is Crowned Fools tonight on episode number 357 of Kings of the Rings podcast, exclusively here on Wrestle Addict Radio, and it starts right now. Well, hello, everybody. How are you? It's King Ricky. Welcome again and welcome back to Kings of the Rings podcast, episode number 357, Crowned Fools. As you guys know, the last time that we were here, I was all by myself, and quite frankly, it was getting really lonely by myself. Although I enjoy my solitude, but I was teetering between solitude and loneliness. But let's be clear, folks. I am lonely no more. I went all the way up to the north, but unfortunately, the only thing I brought back was the cold ass freaking weather. But I went all the way up north and found a great Canadian treasure known as the one, the only, Mr. Fretz. Fretz, how are you doing, sir?
On this fine, snowy November evening, I am doing just fine, my good friend. Thanks for bringing me back on. It's cold, but the scotch is keeping me warm right now. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well, Mr. Fretz. I'm doing quite well. We got a lot of wrestling to talk about. We got a lot of wrestling to talk about. We got some good things to talk about. Mostly, I think almost all good things to talk about in this week in wrestling. And so it's going to be a pretty good fun time tonight. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Obviously, we do not have McSmurphy, kayfabe, and we do not have Willie T. And just to be frank and pretty much out there in the open, it is going. It's possible, more likely probable that we will not be seeing Willie T or kayfabe for a considerable amount of time. Like I said, I think a couple weeks ago, we were having life has gotten in the way. You know, kayfabe has a pretty non-traditional work week. Will has taken on a producer gig, which congratulations to him. I'm never going to get in the way of someone's progress in their career, and it so happens to conflict currently with the time frame in which we do the show live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, which is Wednesday nights around 8 p.m. And we already know that there are a couple of TV rights deals that are in the way, that are on the way. SmackDown being solidified, obviously, that may change the landscape of when we watch wrestling programming, specifically with Monday Night Raw might be moving off of Mondays. And so with so much volatility, and I've mentioned this before, until the dust settles, specifically more particularly with Monday Night Raw and NXT, because they are a package deal. When the dust settles with their TV rights deals, which are going to be up within less than a year, and we know where they're going to go and when they're going to air. It's a strong possibility Monday Night Raw may not be Monday Night Raw, and it's also a strong possibility it may go to a streaming service like Amazon. You know, when we find out all the details of that, that is when I plan to sit down with Kay and Will and discuss what day of the week we will move the show to. But I did not want to move it prematurely without knowing all the details of all the other products that influence this show, particularly WWE and AEW. And so, in the interim, I'm just going to have a slew of guest hosts. Smiley, you're invited. Saquon, reluctantly, you're also invited. Mr. Fretz is going to be with us tonight. So it could be a rotating cast of characters for a considerable amount of time. And that's not a bad thing. I see that as a good thing. It's always a good thing when Mr. Fretz is on my screen. So, Fretz, are you ready to get into everything within the world of wrestling in the last couple of weeks?
I am. Let's
Let's
go.
do the damn thing. All right. So, first on this docket today, we have the one thing that occurred literally right when I went off air a couple of weeks ago. Sting shows up on AEW. Mr. Fretz finds his Sting mask, which I did not know you had a Sting mask, but Fretz, yeah, you gotta take off the glasses. You're widening the mask a little bit.
Woo!
Sting, Steve Borden, as some of you might know him as his real name. Very tall individual, by the way. I met him in person. So, Sting goes on AEW TV to talk about how about his career and all of a sudden it's getting pretty somber. And he talked about how he debuted at AEW Revolution and that his final match will be at AEW Revolution. And we are assuming that Sting is going to retire permanently after AEW Revolution because Sting has retired before. He retired from WWE when they put him in the Hall of Fame. He announced his retirement, did the whole stuff. Years later, he shows up on AEW. So my first question to you, Mr. Fretz, is, or Mr. Sting, Mr. Fretz Sting, or I don't, Fretzel Stingy, I don't even know what to call you, but is this the end of Sting?
Being in his mid 60s, I think that this is the last we'll see Sting as an in-ring performer. However, as an on-air talent, I do think that he'll probably fill in a role that Arn Anderson did for Cody Rhodes and be a manager of some sort for Darby Allin, who I'm going to assume that might be his final opponent, if it's not going to be like a tag team deal with everyone's favorite dead dad lover, Christian.
Yeah, Christian does hate his fathers. I will tell you that. And so, if it's a Sting's swan song, number one, good for him. Number two, stay retired. Sting, please. 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 I know this man's on borrowed time with all the bums, especially that he took in AEW. Please stay retired. I'm happy he's able to walk and function and do all the stuff that he has been doing for such a long time. But I think it's also a blessing for Sting to be able to walk away on your own terms. Not a lot of people were able to do that. Edge, aka Adam Copeland, wasn't able to do that for a while. Everybody who's died in the ring or due to injuries from the ring were never able to walk away. So the fact that he's able to walk, Undertaker was able to do it. The fact that he was able to walk away with that, cheers to him. On top of that as well, Tony Khan decided he's going to bring back all of Sting's friends, and the first one being Ric Flair. Because, of course. I mean, historically speaking, Ric Flair, Sting, WCW, first and last match of WCW, like, ever. There is history there. They've gone up and down the roads together. How long is Flair in this? Is it just for the Sting run? Or is he going to be there for much longer? I don't know. But Fretz, if Flair is in AEW, which woo, I guess, what is his role outside of Sting?
Unofficial party animal, party starter, manager for his son-in-law Andrade, who is still in the company somehow. But I think on Collision they got the Los Incarnobles back together.
Oh, they did. Yes,
like,
they did.
I don't get Collision up here. Like right now, TSN 2 or whatever the channel is has Dynamite, but they don't carry Collision. They don't carry Rampage.
I mean, you can watch a lot better stuff on a Saturday night than Collision. Not saying that Collision's bad. I'm just like, it's Collision.
It's this thing called Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah, that too.
In tradition. Yeah.
That too. So Flair being there, I don't know who else might show up for this Sting retirement run. I feel like it's all a lot of just, I don't even know. It's just a lot of
Muda. Great Muda.
Muda, okay, cool. He just got into the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame, he can do what he wants. Speaking of Hall of Fame, do you think Tony Khan's bold enough to put Sting into the AEW Hall of Fame? That doesn't exist, by the way. But would Sting be the first entrant into the AEW Hall of Fame? Do you think Tony Khan would be that bold of a person to do it?
He'd be that petty, but also yes. But I ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
If Nate was in the chat, he might know the answer to this. But how old was TNA when TNA established their first Hall of Fame? It was under 10 years.
And AEW is at like what, 5 now?
They're at 5 now.
Yeah.
And if the AEW had a Hall of Fame, he would put Sting in there because Sting is retiring, and if he stays retired and if it's on his time, good, because the first time around was not.
Yeah.
Uh, he would do that,
Yeah.
and he would. I bet you that may be what his announcement is tonight. It's something like that.
Who knows?
That I'm going to clown college.
He passed clown college. It's pretty evident. I think that his I think the if you are going to do an AEW Hall of Fame, I think the first person that should go in is Cody Rhodes.
Oh, yeah, and inducted by like the rest of the elite.
But think about that. Nobody has had a bigger influence on the world of wrestling, especially the development of AEW, than Cody Rhodes. Also, I don't know if anybody in AEW notices, which they do. Cody's like one of the biggest stars in wrestling, so the fact that you have, from a business and marketing standpoint, putting in somebody who's over like Rover, just generally speaking, and be like, oh, he became a name through us, makes your product look that more, gives your product that more credibility.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be it would be funny if they put him in the Hall of Fame, I think. Just
It would be a little.
from a perspective, especially if he was like the WWE Universal Champion.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. There's no guarantee that Cody would show up to his own induction of the Hall of Fame or whatever WWE would let him, which I think they might these days. Because it's publicity is publicity nonetheless. Um, but I think if anybody goes in the AEW Hall of Fame first, I think it's Cody. I don't think it's Sting. To me, Cody makes the most sense outside of Kenny and the Bucks. I think Cody makes the most sense.
He
Just from an
bas-
impact standpoint, no pun intended.
he kind of built up the company. Basically, it's on a bet with it had to be one of the idiots,
It was
Meltzers or
Meltzer.
somebody.
Excuse me.
It's always
It
fucking
was Meltzer.
FDM. FDM, by the
Yeah,
way.
seriously, it was Meltzer. So yeah, but anywho, Sting is going to retire. So enjoy the Stinger as much as you can. Like I said, hopefully this all goes smoothly and it doesn't have to, be cut short. But he's calling this shot. His final match, AEW Revolution, going to be the first pay-per-view of 2024 for AEW. Right after the final pay-per-view for AEW, a brand new pay-per-view for AEW called Worlds End, emanating from Long Island, New York, at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, not UBS Arena, which I find very interesting in and of itself. The original home of the New York Islanders, a venue that was downsized by about 4,000, 5,000 seats compared to the current UBS Arena where the Islanders resided. Well, also a Nassau Memorial Coliseum, one of the three locations of WrestleMania 2, a very historically big wrestling and sports and entertainment venue because of the low ceiling, which means the acoustics are absolutely fantastic. The Fiend debuted at the Nassau Coliseum. WWE's all women's pay-per-view, Evolution, was also at the Nassau Coliseum. There is a rich wrestling history, and in particular at that arena. This is going to be, I believe this is AEW's first show in that arena, so it's going to be interesting. It's called World's End. It is the Saturday before New Year's Eve, so it's going to be very, very interesting. Tickets go on sale this weekend, actually. They will probably sell out. I think it's good for them because, number one, it is a smaller venue, and I think Fretz firsthand, AEW's been having some difficulty with bigger venues. And I think this will be good for them from an acoustic standpoint. It'll sound great for them. I don't know how this card's going to stack up, but I'm intrigued. Will I go? Probably not, but I'm intrigued by it. What are your thoughts on this World's End pay-per-view?
The first thing that when this was announced in our Discord, I got a message from Kay. They said, shit, I'm away for New Year's. Like, I can't go to this. Shout out to Kay, by the way, and Will. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. There's all these rumored innuendos about AEW is going to have a PLE pay-per-view every month, pending on their streaming deal that is upcoming or quite possibly already in the wraps with HBO Max. And if that's the deal, it's part of the package like the network. Fine.
Yeah,
I mean, I can see the card being something like MJF is probably going to headline the show. Like
as he should.
he is not losing the title to friggin' Switchblade. As much as I love Switchblade, it ain't happening. But he'll headline this show against. I'm just going to throw a name out there and say a returning Jack Perry, who a lot of people think is the devil
Hmm.
in the show, not the literal. Even people will be like, "Oh, what if it's CM Punk?" Hey, that would be the most elaborate troll of all time. But the devil's Adam Cole.
Yeah, CM Punk would have to totally skip Survivor Series for that to happen as well. But it,
And Blackhawks.
yeah, that's true. Also, with AEW World's End, and to your point where you said that they would be potentially growing towards a pay-per-view a month model a la WWE, this makes event number 8 for AEW. Let's count them off. Revolution, Double or Nothing, All In, All Out, Full Gear, Wrestle Dream, World's End, and I'm forgetting the freaking 8th one.
Forgetting the one that I attended, Forbidden
And
Door.
Forbidden Door, yes, that makes 8. So we're getting there. We're getting there with that. So yeah, they have 8 calendar. They went with 4. They've doubled as of right now. They have doubled to 8, which, to be honest with you, that's a good number for them in particular. My only issue with them is that what is your WrestleMania, which is All In. I believe All In's their WrestleMania.
I think, yeah, okay, that's the one that's always in Chicago or
Wembley now.
next year they're going Wembley. Yeah, next year they're going back to Wembley. And what's literally the week after that?
All Out.
Just no.
Oh, you mean
No,
after
Berlin?
Yes, yes, thank you. You know this. It's like you put this show together with me. But yes, the week after that, wrestling's going to be in Europe in August. The week after AEW All In, WWE has announced that on August 31st, 2024, in Berlin, Germany, the capital of Germany, at the Mercedes-Benz Arena, which I hear, really nice arena, WWE's doing their first ever show called The Bash in Berlin, because I guess Bash at the Beach was taken, but do they have beaches in Germany? I don't know. Bash in Berlin, another international premium live event. This is assuming this is going to be after SummerSlam, which in the last couple of years has been earlier on in the year. Earlier on in the month of August. And I believe it was early July this past year. Late July, my fault.
This year it was literally on Civic Holiday weekend.
Okay, so yeah, it was early August, late July, which it was this year. This is interesting for me, because as much as I say that AEW has hit, I think, a sweet spot with their pay-per-view / premium live events at 8, and I think that's really good for them. I'm going to pose this question to you, Fretz. Is WWE doing too many premium live events? They're doubling down a lot on these premium live events. I think it's going to be close to, if not this year, next year, it's going to be close to like 14, I think.
I mean, it's not as bad as at the start of the draft when they had like a pay-per-view every other week.
Oh yeah, that was for every brand, which at the time it made sense to me.
It was almost oversaturation. Like when I was doing Ruthless Aggression, it was SmackDown had 1 month, Raw had another, and they overdid it. But next year, I don't think there's going to be too many pay-per-views. If anything, there might be too many international ones because there's also a rumor about Backlash taking place in Paris of all places, which
Sacre bleu.
I'm all sacre bleu. Okay, what is the? I don't know what French swear words are in Paris. Although I worked with a kitchen full of Quebecers and one Parisian. That was an interesting experience. And then a Mexican, two Russians, an Albanian, and
You
me.
guys must have some great food.
Oh hell yeah, we had some great food. We had some great chats. Um, yeah, if anything, with those and including the Saudi shows, there's going to be about five at least international events like Backlash, Bash at Berlin. Uh, I think they do two Saudi shows a year now,
It's about to, and
and
Elimination Chamber in Australia.
that's right. I knew I was forgetting one, which I mean, Rhea Ripley's in the main event and in an elimination chamber match in Australia. It writes itself. And in Germany, although he's Austrian, I'm putting my foot down and saying Gunther's going to be the world heavyweight champion either leading into Berlin or coming out of Berlin.
I would agree with you on that. I think if you don't have Gunther headline this show, you have done a disservice to the build that you've made for him. And at that time, WrestleMania is over. We might have a bunch of new champions at WrestleMania. It'll be so far removed from WrestleMania season that this is going to be a great way to kick down the doors into the new fall season. Of wrestling with a Bash in Berlin. And listen, man, WWE just got bigger financially speaking with TKO and UFC, and UFC has a track record of going to places, going all around the world for different fights and marketing them that way. And WWE and the quote unquote WWE universe is global. It has been proven in with Montreal with Elimination Chamber. I think most impressively, well, couple, Money in the Bank in London, Backlash in Puerto Rico was an absurd show.
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing show. London, Puerto Rico. We had another big major international event as well that I'm missing, and I just had it, and it has escaped me right now. Um, but those three alone are unreal. And also, and even though we're going to talk about it, the Crown Jewel events, Greatest Royal Rumble, the Saudi shows have also been really good. They're really good.
Wait,
People come
yes.
out. They're having a good time. They're entertained, and it just makes the product like I'm not surprised they're gonna go to Paris and go to Germany and things like that. Assault in Auschwitz, yeah, no. And things like that, like because it's proven that people will show out in droves to this, and it's because of the scarcity that it provides most WWE shows, and rightfully so because their main market is the Americas. I mean, it's just.
Exactly.
However, if they're going to do these shows in these major cities, it is nothing but positives for them. They're going to sell out. They're going to show up. I know even when we were talking about, All In and stuff, and I reading some of the stuff that people were so excited for is because for a lot of the overseas fans, and I've met them who come to the States for WrestleMania, and they're fantastic people, all of them. Um, they're probably more dedicated than anybody in the Americas, Canada included. No offense, Fred. I mean, these people are waking up at like their time, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. to watch stuff live that we take for granted for that we can watch at like 8 p.m. Eastern time here. So if they get this one shot, this one opportunity to go and see their performance on their time, so they don't have to lose sleep and they can enjoy themselves the way we traditionally enjoy ourselves. More power to them. Have freaking fun. At this point, give them a WrestleMania. I'm all for London going to WrestleMania, and I think it's going to happen sometime within the next 10 years. So I'm all for this. I just wonder if WWE's overdoing it and loading it up. However, if these are like one-off specials, then I think we're going to be good. That,
I think
yeah.
so. I could see some. Oh, I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead. I'm done.
No, no, I was gonna say I could see some of these being like your network specials, much like the Beast in Japan. What was that Beast in
Oh,
Japan
Beast in the
one
East
with
when Finn won.
when Finn won and it had like a random. It was a random Brock
It
Lesnar
was
match in Japan
New Day
too.
versus Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar beat all three of them in like 2 minutes.
Oh, well, that's right. Oh, a precursor for something that came about 3 years
Unfortunately.
after that. Unfortunately, I could see it being like a network special, much like
Hmm.
that. And if we get NXT Europe
It's gonna
next year,
happen.
because there's a lot of people are throwing darts in there, and there is one name being thrown around who, if he signs here, that some people think he could be the main focus of that brand. And do you know who that
I do
man
not
is?
actually.
Will
Oh
Ospreay.
yes, I did hear about this. Which also does remind me, speaking of UK and stuff, the other international event that I totally forgot. I don't know why. Clash at the Castle was absolutely fantastic.
Best card, almost best card of
Yeah,
last year.
absolutely fantastic. And that was a one-off show that we know of right now. Where I was like, this could be a yearly thing, you know. Clash at the Castle just had a great name, great look, like it was awesome. So that is interesting, but it also I like that you mentioned Will Ospreay because we didn't mention this in AEW when we were talking about World's End. MJF's contract is ending in 2024. It is quite possible that MJF comes in to World's End as champion and drops. MJF by 2024 is going to be the hottest free agent in wrestling.
If he hasn't re-signed a new contract already,
And if
that
he's smart,
is.
he would not. Not saying that he will not resign, but I would if I'm MJF, speaking money perspective here, if I'm MJF, I'm not re-signing. I'm like a free agent, like I'm letting my contract run out and I'm going to the negotiation table with both WWE and AEW. Hell, even Impact. See what you can get and field the best offer. I think it would be unwise for him to prematurely re-sign with somebody when he could potentially get more money and highlighted bigger elsewhere.
Run a pro and run another program with Cody.
Honestly, put all right. I'm gonna I'm going to fantasy this right now. Let's just say before we move on to Crown Jewel, because I know we're getting a little bit long into here, but we move let's say MJF signs with WWE, and let's say Cody beats Roman, which should happen in Philly, because I think like the stars are aligned for it. Like this that has to be it. What a better opponent than MJF debuting the next night to ruin Cody's celebration. What a better kickstart. And that night of all nights, the Raw after Mania, you give MJF a very long leash on what he can say and what he cannot say. For that one night, because you need to drill in an impact. Obviously, he can't curse. He can't cross some lines that he's crossed in AEW, traditionally speaking. But you give him a long leash to kind of unload a little bit, because MJF is, I think, the most effective when he's on the mic and emotional. He has a very
Yes.
Kevin Owens like cadence to him. He's a little bit louder than KO, but he's very Kevin Owens in the way that he puts a story together and puts his emotion into it.
That would be the ultimate Raw after WrestleMania. And for the love of God, make him heel.
Absolutely. No, Cody will be
I don't
face,
like
make
his
him heel.
not his baby
Yeah.
face. His baby face run's not good. I'm going to
Yeah.
say it. It's
It's
not good.
weird. It's bromantic, and it's too bromantic. But I think him showing up right after Mania, if Cody wins, I think that's the best way to book him if he resigns. not if he resigns, if he signs with WWE. Who knows? Who knows? But that's all speculation. What's not speculation anymore is Halloween Havoc, was for the last 2 weeks in NXT. And I will tell you this right now. If you're not watching NXT now, you should. NXT, for all of the shortcomings of the 2.0 version and all of the back and forth and no one knew what was going on and a lot of colors, there's so many colors, and then Michael Hickenbottom, aka Shawn Michaels, took over for NXT. Shawn Michaels has righted the ship of NXT. I totally believe it. I've been watching it. They are very story driven, which I find absolutely fantastic. There's always something interesting going on in NXT. Halloween Havoc was a great 2-week showcase, particularly of women talent. The first night of Halloween Havoc had 8 segments with just women. It was great to see, something that we haven't seen in WWE programming in a very long time. The matches were fantastic. Ilya and Carmelo 2 was a fantastic... Ilya and Carmelo 3, my apologies. Fantastic match. Yet again, Shotzi and Scarlett hosting in different Halloween horror villains were amazing. Lexis King debuted last week. Like, absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
There was just so much going on with Halloween Havoc. This was probably the best Halloween Havoc they put together since they've had it. Fretz, what are your overall thoughts on Halloween Havoc? I know you watched most of it.
I only watched the first hour of last night, and I managed to watch the entirety of last week. And what I remembered out of it, if there's any way to make someone forget that you're a second generation wrestler, that's what Lexis King is doing. Because, Brian Pillman was a baby when he died.
Yeah.
It's like, I never knew him. Something King. Mr. King. Let's say his name is Joe King. Joe King raised me, and that's what I'm going. And that's what I'm going by. And Lexus, I think, was something else, like his stepmom. But I loved that, and it's different. It's great, and the Carmelo and the whole tease with the whodunit with Trick. And Trick just staring daggers at him. You're talking about story-driven. That right there. And I freaking love the metaphor.
They're funny. They are so funny.
They're so good. Everyone I know is shitting on the Scooby-Doo thing last night. And I'm like, guys, wrestling is fun. I mean, yeah, this brand of comedy in wrestling is not for everybody. But I mean, for crying out loud, I'm doing the Attitude Era right now, and it's full of comedy segments like this. And I mean, like Mello and Ilya, and we had a title change with Lyra Valkyria and Becky, which I saw coming when Becky won the title.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I called that because Lyra was kind of watching everything here. A lot of women's segments, a new. Was it Lola Vice?
Lola Vice
the breakout
beat Kalani, yes. For the breakout tournament.
We didn't see friggin' Santino's daughter though.
She got eliminated. I think I've seen Ariana. I actually think Ariana Grace is her wrestling name. She's got a lot of potential. I really like where she could go with this. But I do want to also comment on Lexis King. He'll never get away from being Brian Pillman Jr.'s son, but I feel like I'm listening to Brian Pillman when I hear Lexis King speak. Like he looks exactly like his father. I mean, I hate to say it, but he looks just like him.
He does. And his
cadence is just like he has what Brian Pillman had when he got up front, where he can draw you in. He knows how to draw. Like those video packages of him watching the TV for several weeks in NXT, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Because by the time he showed up in the match, you knew who he was, you knew what he was all about. His character was built already. It was perfect. perfect. And I'm interested to see how he carries himself afterwards. He's a very punk rock, old school '80s type hairdo looking guy, and he's different. He stands out in the world of NXT, who is full of characters. Full of characters. Lyra Valkyria, great match. You can tell Becky wanted her to do it really well. If you really watch that match, Becky is uncharacteristically vocal calling the match, which she never does. Becky usually hides it a lot better, which just showed me Becky really wanted her to look good no matter what. And Becky also wanted to, elevate a lot of women. Becky Lynch's reign as NXT champion was only 40 days. 40.
He defended the title
all the time,
a whole bunch,
yeah.
too.
And I, as much as I do love that, I hope that title stays in NXT for right now, and may do something else with the women's division, on Raw and SmackDown. They do need a secondary title so you can highlight more women on there, but I don't think giving them the NXT title was the way to go about it. But Halloween Havoc, overall great. Shotzi and Scarlett should host every year. I don't care. They're
the pinhead costume was
yeah, she started as Pinhead. I was like, this is amazing.
And then one of the I forget the name of the witch girls, but one of them was Maleficent.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, Chef's Kiss.
Chef's
Kiss to Shotzi. Shotzi is my queen of Halloween. Like, Shotzi all day, every day. Follower of the Kings of the Rings podcast, too, actually. Thank you, Shotzi, for that. So, Halloween Havoc, great. Check it out. It's 2 weeks of really, really good wrestling. Kudos to Shawn Michaels for putting together 2 great weeks of stuff.
And watch Shotzi's haunting, like her and Scarlett do all this haunted house kind of stuff. And it's I got to put a cheap plug in here for a good friend of mine who also does paranormal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And man, if I could see them commingling, it would be a dream come true. Paranormal XP, Paige and Tara. Shout out to you too. I worked with both of these ladies in the past. Phenomenal.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right, so let's move on to the reason that we are here. Us two Crown Fools are going to talk about Crown Jewel. Now, Crown Jewel coming from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. on the West Coast Pacific Time. So it's an afternoon pay-per-view, which I'm all for on a Saturday. It'll be a good time to watch some wrestling. You get to watch in the afternoon. You get the rest of your evening to do whatever the hell you want. I'll probably be going food shopping. Who knows? Who knows what'll happen? But looking at this card, it's a great card. It's a good card. I'm not saying like this card is ridiculous. There's been other cards this year that I'm like, this is a stacked card. This isn't that stacked, but it's good enough. For instance, we have the WWE Undisputed WWE Universal Championship on the line. Roman Reigns facing LA Knight. Yeah. Which will main event this. I'm excited for this match. I think this will be a great showcase match for LA Knight. This is a big, as I say on Up Down, this is a big prove-it match for LA Knight. But I expect wholeheartedly for LA Knight to lose this match. Fretz, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm not going to be watching a good chunk of this. I will be getting off work at 4 o'clock, so I might be just in time for the main event.
You might.
I'm probably going to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it a little later, but it's fine. I've missed all the other international shows this year because of work. It's fine. But I look at this, and everyone's like, LA Knight's a megastar. He should immediately win the title. I'm going to take you back to 1997.
Ooh.
Stone Cold Steve Austin got his first shot at the WWE Championship against The Undertaker at a Random in Your House.
Okay.
Obviously, he did not win.
Mm-hmm.
Stone Cold was still on the rise, and this was just months before he got dropped on his head at SummerSlam, and he went from there. I can see this moment being for LA Knight where he comes this close to winning the championship to no avail, but I have a fantasy book about LA Knight and a certain title that we'll talk about at a later title match, but Roman Reigns is winning out right here. I believe we're going to see shenanigans from Solo Sikoa or God knows another Samoan that is out of MLW right now who is related to
Yes,
Roman.
Mr. Fatu.
We could Jacob Fatu though is still under contract for another year or so, but there's a couple of other offshoot relatives who are there who could be growing the bloodline before it all implodes when the story ends at WrestleMania 40.
Yeah.
This is going to be I expect this to be a very good competitive match. LA Knight just being blatantly disrespectful and interrupting the entrance and just beelining past him, not even looking at him, and sitting at the head of the table. You know he's on the rise, and you know it from all the crowd reactions and the funked up audio. What did we call that? What did we call that? Audio issues? Oh, the piped in.
Yeah. It's
All the
piped in stuff, yeah. Well, supposedly.
All the supposedly piped in, yeah. This is going to be LA's close but no cigar title match, much like Steve Austin before he went up to the moon.
Yeah, the bravado of LA Knight. I just watched it because I had people over last Friday, so I watched it on DVR this afternoon. But the bravado of LA Knight, which makes him. This was the most Eli Drake he's been in WWE in a very, very long time. Since like he debuted in NXT. The bravado of him, the bravado of a writing team to even write that in for him. It just shows that LA Knight is something different. They're making him unique. He's the one person that does not show reference to Roman at all. He sat on the spot. He even got so bold and brought up the infamous "Suffer and Succotash" promo. During Roman's infantile days when he was struggling to be a solo character, as part of that contract signing package, which I was like, wow, that is a bold move, but I think that's the LA Knight character. LA Knight is bold, he's brash, he's out there, he's in your face, and he's going to die on that hill. And if Roman is any part of a Samoan businessman that I think he is, he's going to make LA Knight shine as best as he can while still winning. And that's what the goal is. LA Knight this should solidify LA Knight as an upper main event star. Should.
And LA Knight referencing basic thugonomics when he was talking to Roman, like this is a quick way to get referred to in the past tense. He referenced basic thugonomics in front of John Cena to LA Knight. Just again, more bravado. It's top tier what they're writing for him, and we wouldn't have been saying this a year ago with fucking Max Dupree. As much as I love the Maximum Male models,
I did love
like,
Maximum Male models
on Twitch. They're so good on Twitch right now too.
Oh, I gotta watch them.
I fully expect them to be, because they're really chummy with OSW review, and I fully expect them to like do the ad break questionarium in their next video. Like I'm calling it.
Yeah,
they're so funny, and all the stories about all these gimmicks that they didn't do. Like we can talk about that in the post show, but just
yeah,
man,
crazy.
This is gonna rule.
Crazy times, but I think we're all in on saying LOL Roman wins on what might be his final match of 2023, which I'm okay with. Let him rest up for WrestleMania season, which is gonna be right around the corner. Moving on, the World Heavyweight Championship. I forgot how pretty this belt looks all the time. Seth Freakin' Rollins going up against a very petty and very angry Drew McIntyre. And honestly, this might be a toss-up for me, Mr. Fretz. You have Drew McIntyre here. You have Drew McIntyre here, who rightfully brought up that he tried his hardest to carry WWE through the pandemic. He never got his chance to shine in front of everybody as the guy of the company. He will probably go down in the history of pro wrestling as the forgotten champion of WWE because of when his reign occurred. Also because Sasha and Bayley put the company on their back and everybody knows it. But, you know, But he's that's his legacy right now, and I can understand. It makes sense that he is so visibly pissed that he never got that opportunity to be the guy. And now you have Seth, who has been the guy for a while, and now has a belt, aka the Shut Up Seth Rollins. He has a world title belt on him, and Seth saying get over it and things like that. And Drew's like, you're taking this for granted, blah blah blah. It's a good organic story, which makes me kind of lean to maybe Drew could win this in a shock victory. Maybe. You know, or does Seth continue this crazy role? Becky just dropped, which makes me believe Becky might be taking a little bit more time off. Could Seth also drop as well, or is there something else in the works? Fretz, I'm going to have you make your choice first.
Yes, there is something else in the works. And I'm going to add to your prediction of Drew McIntyre. Yes, Drew McIntyre, but a certain Senor Money in the Bank has been teasing and just waiting in the grass like a snake ready to strike. He's gonna get there, and Saudi crowned Seth Rollins the World Heavyweight Champion earlier this
They
year.
did.
History. How about the first cash in overseas? There's never been a cash in overseas,
There has. We got
but
close with Austin Theory, but that did not happen.
that did not count. And Austin Theory called his shot and lost in a random Raw
Yeah, he
match.
did.
Either way, Damian Priest, I think, is walking out of Saudi Arabia as the World Heavyweight Champion.
Oh, okay.
I'm calling that right now.
I like it. I like it. So all right, let me get this straight. So you're saying Seth wins, but he gets cashed it.
No, Drew.
Drew wins. Okay. You know what?
He gets his, but he's like, yes, I get my moment, and then
I like it. I actually like it, 'cause that's where I'm gonna go. I think Drew beats Seth. Drew is so happy he gets this moment only to get it taken away from him. I like it. I like it a lot. I also like it for the fact that I forget half the time that Damian Priest has that briefcase. I forget all the time, which means it's working. That's what it means. It means it's working.
who did it work for? Who did it work for like that in the past? Seth Rollins and Ziggler, arguably Ziggler too.
Edge, CM Punk, it works. It works, and so I think that's a good way. And also, you make Damian Priest champion. They've been riding Judgment Day for a really, really long, long time, and I think you give Damian Priest a title. He gets a mini run as champion. I mean, Damian Priest winning would be. I would be really happy for the man formerly known as Punishment Martinez. We know what he's been through. We know all the stuff he's done. Cody called him out on Monday, saying 20 years and you're still like a sideshow, which is essentially what Cody called him. Like, you don't know how to take initiative, which I was like, wow. I was like, I don't know if that was scripted or if Cody's just like shooting from the hip there, because like that sounded really personal.
Guaranteed.
It sounded really personal. So
Edge.
it would
Whoa.
make sense that you give Damian Priest this mini run as world champion, satisfy a Money in the Bank cash because we haven't had a successful one for the men in like 2 years, and he runs it through Royal Rumble or something like that. Give him a 2-3 month reign, see what he does with it, and work from there. I'm all good. So all right. So we are officially we're synchronized here, Fretz. We're getting Drew wins, Damian Priest cashes in. I like it. I like it.
And then Drew actually gets his moment at WrestleMania for real
Maybe.
before he drops the title to Gunther in Berlin. Let's go. 2024 is booked.
Yeah, most of it is booked, yes. I agree. Now we've got a little bit of a championship scramble. Not really. It's going to be a fatal five-way. I believe it's elimination, or it may not be. But fatal five-way for the Women's World Championship. Mommy Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, Raquel Rodriguez, and the Annihilator, Nia Jax. This is a match that can be really good or go downhill really quickly. The spots in this match have to be very well coordinated. Outside of Zoe Stark, and no offense to her, I can see everybody else winning this match. And I can probably create good reasons for everybody. It's hard for me to bet against Rhea Ripley. And I'm not going to at this moment because, even though we're not mentioning this on the show, and I'm just remembering it now, Rhea Ripley was ranked number one in PWI's top 150 or 125 for women. And usually, when that comes out, that gives you a couple of more extra months with the world title. And I think that's what's going to be in play here. I'm interested more so to see how Zoe performs, how Raquel performs, and how Nia performs in Nia's biggest match since her return, and a big match for Raquel and Zoe on this big of a kind of a stage. With Zoe kind of started getting her meteoric rise with Trish at the last Saudi show as well. But everything aside, Rhea's leaving Crown Jewel with this belt.
100%. And speaking of PWI rankings and titles, do you know who was ranked 500 in the PWI 500?
Wasn't that Andre Chase?
And he just won the tag team championship.
Which was about time. Good for Andre Chase in that. He has put in a lot of work.
Chase, I was rooting so hard. I was so happy when Chase U won. I almost bought a shirt.
He was really happy too. But what do you expect from this match, Mr. Fretz, this Fatal 5-Way?
I hope it's good. Like, a lot of people shit on Nia Jax, but I think that she is slightly improving in the ring. Like, she's had coaching, she's had the right people, she's trained better.
She looks better. Like, physically, she looks like she's in better shape.
Looks better too.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's elimination. So if it's not an elimination match, it might be a bit of a clusterfuck. But it's because there's 6 people on the ring if you count the referee, and it can get a little crowded in there. There's no way Rhea is losing this title.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we could see a short run from someone like, okay, just for the internet reaction, I want to see Nia Jax walk out with the title just because it would be chaotic.
I mean, I do too.
And Twitter would burn. Like,
I would do like a Nia Jax memorial episode.
Bring me on.
Remember when we did remember like one of our first streams we did Miz Appreciation Night? I would do that again. It would be called like Jacked Up for Nia or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacked Up for Nia. It would be a Nia Jax tribute show. I thought about this when you were talking about this match as well. When WWE first partnered with the country of Saudi Arabia to put on these shows, there was a lot of scrutiny from some of our hosts, not myself, about the addition or lack thereof of women, and even when they were allowed to be on the show, some of their dress and stuff, and that stuff is kind of like very calmed down. I mean, they still are very covered in a sense, but I think it's something to be said about these continuous relations that WWE has had as being an American product with the country of Saudi Arabia and the progression that they have shown with allowing more women to be a part of the show. Like, remember, we had like a Falls Count Anywhere match with Bayley and Bianca. Renee Young was the first ever female announcer in Saudi Arabia. We had the Lacey Evans and Natty matches, the big beginnings of it. And now we're having a 5-women match on this card in Saudi Arabia. I think that's great. I think that's great all around. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And I that as well, I think, is a lot of added pressure for these women, but I think most of them will live up to that moment. And I think they all understand the magnitude of that on them. So I'm hoping for the best for this, and I think Rhea still comes out of here as champion. So, moving on. Speaking of women and Bianca Belair, Bianca and Io are going for the WWE Undisputed Women's Championship. Bianca Belair returning after being away for a couple of months, and rightfully so, going up against the Genius of the Sky. Io with Damage Control not far behind. As much as I love Bianca, and I know, and people close to me also love Bianca as well, I think Damage Control really start to show more damage because they screwed Charlotte out of winning, and I think a win for Io, and I'm going with Io as my official pick. A win for Io does more than a win for Bianca. I think Bianca is a made woman, and I think there's several matches for Bianca that don't involve the title leading into WrestleMania season where Bianca will still be a marquee highlighted match, potentially. And I don't think she needs this title right now at the moment. I understand the need for it because obviously Io cashed in and beat her and all of that stuff. But I think Bianca doesn't need this title right now, and I think Io still runs with this title for a little bit longer. So I'm going to go with Io Shirai here, or Io Sky. I can't call it Io Shirai. It's Io Sky. Fretz, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Sky walks out of here with the title, and I do think that this also does more for Bianca because, well, who is she currently with? They're married, right? Her and Montez are married.
Yes, they have been married for a while.
They have been married, and yeah, Pez has a new friend in Mr. Robert Lashley. So Bianca's been more and more frustrated, let's say, in the recent weeks in promos on SmackDown. A win for Io here with some shenanigans,
Sure.
of course. I can see set Bianca on a course to the dark side, eventually to the team I have affectionately called Smoke Business. I can see something like that because that also gets her in a non-title marquee spot for WrestleMania, even if it's like a multi-person match, like the Smoke Business versus the Don't Call Them Bullet Club with Meat Chin and the squad.
Yeah. No, I like it, and I think, like I said, imagine 1 week beating Charlotte and 2 weeks later being Bianca for the title. It's a great resume for Io to build. I like Bianca potentially going to Lashley and Street Profits group, potentially as the heater of the group as well, which again would be fantastic. I still selfishly want, and I think it'll be great. I think it'll be great for the progression of women's wrestling, WWE in particular, if we got Charlotte Bianca just a straight up match at WrestleMania. Because I need Bianca to finish the Four Horsewomen off. Because she hasn't done.
Oh, that's the one she hasn't beaten.
It's Charlotte. Yep, Charlotte's the last one.
Oh, okay.
I think I
like that.
She's got to complete it. I really think she's got to complete it, and that's a matchup where you do not need the title for.
That story writes itself.
Yeah, it's very easy. So yeah, Io, we're pretty synced up here. Io Sky comes out of Crown Jewel with this, and the worst kept secret: John Cena's wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. John Cena versus Solo, as announced on People Magazine. John Cena cut a very interesting promo on SmackDown, kind of hinting at the end of his run, and only to be sidelined, or not sidelined, only to be interrupted by Paul Heyman, who actually, and I never know where Paul's going with this promo, but that felt like a half shoot by Paul to Cena. And Paul also solidifies himself as the greatest manager, potentially top 5 greatest booker of all time, because who was in charge of SmackDown when John Cena started rising? Paul Heyman. Like, Paul Heyman is the mastermind behind pro wrestling. He is the underboss that doesn't give enough credit for what he has pulled. And Paul Heyman is the one that saw it and that helped to cultivate it. Obviously, Cena had his ups and downs, but Paul Heyman saw something, and Paul Heyman's proud of what John Cena has in common. And the line that struck me with Paul is that he said, "I raised my kids to be more like you than like me," and I was like, "Wow, that was a big one." Yeah. And then he was like, "You could have had it all, and then you decided to go against the bloodline." I was like, "Ah, you got me again, Paul." It's hard for me to go against John Cena, especially in Crown Jewel and in Saudi Arabia. This is another thing where John Cena is going to try to make Solo look as best as possible, and Solo might take a loss here. Or put this way, I think Cena's winning. I would be shocked if Solo beats Cena. But if Solo does beat Cena, it shows you how generous John Cena is.
Initially, when this match was announced, I had Solo in the pocket. I had him winning. Until John Cena started bringing up the fact that it's been this many days since he won a match, like a TV one-on-one match, because him and LA Knight beat the Bloodline at whatever the last
Fastlane.
What was that last Fastlane? Thank you. But LA Knight had the pin in that match. Mm-hmm. John Cena still won. He hasn't won a one-on-one match since, was it 2019?
Some of that Theory beat at WrestleMania this year.
Yeah, shit match, by the way. That was abysmal. I have Cena winning here. He is going to give Solo a good showing. I thought this was a WrestleMania 40 match that we were going to build to. Let's just say if the writer's strike went on or off, and you long build this one.
Yeah.
But I'm switching to Cena's going to get that win. He's going to make Solo look like $1 million, much like he did with Umaga at Rumble 07. I see it coming off kind of the same way.
I mean, Solo does have a lot of the Umaga characteristics, and I think one of the things John really does relish is working with younger talent and helping them out. All the stories that came from his appearance on NXT about how much time he spent with all of them is just a sign of just how much of a good person he is. And character aside, John Cena's a great guy. And I think he's going to make Solo shine. And there's probably no one else that the Samoan Dynasty and wrestling in general trust with a younger talent than John Cena. Especially now. Younger John Cena, not so much. This version of John Cena, I think he'll be fine. But Cena wins because, the crowd's got to be happy about something. Because LA Knight's not winning. But Cena wins. It's good. This might start the show. To be honest with you, this might start the show. What's not going to start the show will be this match. The Maverick himself, who has really upped his douchebag level, Logan Paul, versus WWE Hall of Famer and current United States champion, Rey Mysterio. Now, love him or hate him in real life, Logan Paul has a great intelligence about him, and he's picked up wrestling, first physically and now the psychology of it, rather well. This current run, even though it's very infantile since he came back from that boxing feud, which clearly he set up this Rey thing, he is so much more into his character and his douchebag self, and he makes you hate him. And he's figured out that psychology around it where you want to see Rey Mysterio beat the crap out of him. And if Logan Paul wasn't so successful in about 1,000 other different projects, he'd probably be a full-time talent. However, Logan Paul did resign, and he said he wanted to win a title. And I think it happens today. I think Logan Paul beats Rey Mysterio and becomes the United States champion. I think that's the heat you want, and what a better resume builder for future Hall of Fame consideration than I beat Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship. Remember, Logan Paul main evented with Roman Reigns a little over a year ago for the title, like for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And it was a great match. It was a great match. It is about time that Logan Paul, I think deservedly, gets a title run. Give him the U.S. title. You're not giving him a major title. I doubt they'd give him the world title, although I would not be surprised if he got a world title run somewhere down the road. But we need to see how he is with the U.S. title and how he can carry the U.S. title. And I think this is a great opportunity to do it. I'm going to go with Logan Paul here. Fretz, who do you have?
Same thing. Logan Paul. He's going to take this title. He's going to do all of his publicity stunts with it, like his podcast with it. Funny thing with him and KSI and Prime, you know who just signed on to be like a spokesperson, commercial guy with Prime?
No, I do not. Who?
Austin Matthews.
Why do I know that name?
Maple Leafs.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Yes.
Prime also really
Maple
cheap to buy, by the way. At least in the state.
Overrated.
At least in the state. It is a little bit overrated, but it's cheap. It's a cheap alternative to some other stuff.
It's a cheap alternative to Gatorade. I do not touch energy drinks.
Yeah.
But.
No, I get it. Yeah, it is a very cheap alternative. But yeah. No, I think Logan Paul's right. And like that US title is so very pretty, and I have a replica obviously behind me. But it's gaudy, it's pretty. It's something that I can see Logan Paul running around America with. You know?
And then losing at WrestleMania to, everybody say, L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
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 That's your WrestleMania feud, because they had a little back and forth at before Money in the Bank. And who's more beloved than L.A. Knight? Almost no one. Who's more despised than Logan Paul? Almost no one. And it's a great pop culture thing that'll also send LA Knight into pop culture that doesn't involve Slim Jims.
Honestly, yeah. And the interesting thing about Logan Paul and the W title, and we're on the precipice, obviously, of Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season, is this thing is that Logan Paul is an entertainer, I think, at heart, and a businessman second. And with all of his property that he does. I mean, they did the same thing when Vince had Pat McAfee on. We set up Pat McAfee getting his WrestleMania match. You can do a lot of cross promotion, a lot of cross branding. LA Knight interrupts Impulsive podcasts, or LA Knight shows up during a Logan Paul whatever event and gets in his face. This would be a pure cross promotional WrestleMania build, because this can happen anywhere, like Sami Zayn showing up at Johnny Knoxville's Jackass premiere. Johnny Knoxville putting Sami Zayn's phone number on a blimp, in LA. This has the potential to be a big thing, unless LA Knight's going to lose. But nothing will make him more of a megastar and a pop culture, like I said, a pop culture kind of iconic moment than him getting in the face of Logan Paul on something outside of WWE TV. And I think I love the build. I hope they go with that, because I think Logan Paul, LA Knight is a great night one opening match for WrestleMania.
Then the next year, LA Knight may be going for a big title.
Exactly.
This could be his John Cena at WrestleMania 20 moment. Yeah, LA Knight's like, 40, but I mean,
Wrestler Prime.
It's just Chris Jericho is on my screen literally right now, and he's 49, tagging with Kenny Omega against 2.0.
Yeah. So yeah, I like it.
You're
Logan Paul is beating Ray, and I think that's a good thing. Moving on down the card. Speaking of which, Damian Priest, send your money in the bank, is going up against Cody. And if our prediction is correct that Damian does cash in, this will start the show. Cody
This is starting the
Cody
show.
and Priest are gonna start the show, which will lead to a potential cash in by Priest later. I like this. It's not a Saudi Arabia show if Cody Rhodes hasn't almost lost a limb, which he almost did, and is hobbling around. Um, I love it. You really have to sow the seeds of the sun. Like I said, if we are going with the premise that Damien leaves Saudi Arabia as with 3 belts, the 2 tag team title belts and the world heavyweight title, Damien has to lose. And I think Damien does lose here because he's gotta be on a little bit of a more of a losing streak so that you don't see it coming when he cashes in. And I think that's the formula they're going with. I think Cody gets his first win in Crown Jewel to a lot of woes and a crap ton of pyro. Mr. Fretz, do you believe Cody, Captain America Cody, home runner Cody, gets this?
Totally forgot that Priest and Balor won the titles back like a
Yeah,
week
they hot
ago.
potato
I
the
already
crap out of it.
forgot
I was
that.
not happy, but whatever.
Yeah, they hot potatoed that. But I knew that like friggin' Jey Uso and Cody wasn't long for this world. Yeet. Yeah,
It's
Captain America's gonna freeze and win this, and we'll see Damian Priest dressed up as Red Skull for the occasion.
yeah, no, it'll be interesting. You want to get really silly real quick because we're almost done. You want to get really silly. Here's how silly we're gonna get. All right, so Damian Priest wins the world title, and he finishes 2023 as the world champion, whatever, and he's looking for you need a Royal Rumble opponent for Damian Priest. What better opponent than Bad Bunny?
Are they going back to not
Puerto
Are they
Rico.
going back down Puerto Rico next
No, but
year?
the Royal Rumble is in Tampa, and that's close enough to Puerto Rico. And Bad
Okay.
Bunny had his first match
Oh,
in Tampa at WrestleMania. Um, why not? If this is just a throwaway and Damien drops at some other point or something like that, and the world title is kind of a title you can filter some people in and out with, why not for your second, third biggest show of the year, the Royal Rumble, Bad Bunny, Damian Priest? You saw what they did at Backlash. They should have main evented. Give them a main event level match at Royal Rumble for the world title. Make it so wild that Bad Bunny could be the WWE World Champion leaving Royal Rumble. That
I'm in.
Prince money. Prince money.
I am in. Give me, give me what I want, Batista gift right here, right here.
I don't think it's going to happen, but let's say I would have Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. They put on classics before, they can freaking do it again. Make it absolutely wild. I would love it. Bad Bunny is a celebrity that's a wrestling fan. you know. Um it's a win-win for everybody. Just like Logan Paul with the title is a win-win. Um Plus Bad Bunny just came up with his new album and stuff like it there's there's a lot of reasons why that would work in the short term, and I think it's a good thing. But all in all, Cody's winning this. Moving on to the kickoff show, ladies and gentlemen, we are kicking it off. Sami Zayn versus JD McDonough. This is going to be on the kickoff starting around noon, which means I'll probably be out getting food but when this match is going on. Um, it's a toss up. I'm going to say Sammy wins. Sammy sold me with that promo on Raw this week. Very passionate. He hasn't been that he hasn't been that excited about something in a long time. But I liked it. I love there's a little bit of truth in that, especially if you follow Sammy for Syria, and what he's really all about, outside of his character. I thought it was really cool. Like I loved seeing Sammy the first time around when he finally got his match with Kevin when him and Kevin were tag team champions when they were in Saudi Arabia. I can see this again for him. Having a good time. Yeah, I also just don't see JD McDonough winning just yet. I don't know what it is with him. Like, just put him in the Judgment Day already. Number one. but get him a win or something. He just seems. I don't know what it is with JD McDonough, but there's something missing that they haven't pulled the trigger on him with. But all in all, I'm going to say this. Sami Zayn wins. Kick off a show in good fashion. Do you agree with me, Fretz? Sami Zayn winning this thing out?
Want I really want to, but just to be different this time, and for Judgment Day related shenanigans and other predictions that we have, I'm gonna say with shenanigans and like a foot on the rope, JD gets an upset here.
Ooh.
And I like Sammy's promo. Sammy is really reminding me of Mick Foley, and in my time, I'm about to wrap up his career, of which you're invited to one of said
Yes.
shows. Um, I see I see a lot of that in Sammy. And Mick Foley was someone who was good at working from underneath. So is Sammy.
Yes.
You stack all these decks against him, with JD eventually becoming a real member of the Judgment Day, not a bag carrier or a title carrier, which he could be. And then you get, and instead of I love Bad Bunny versus Priest at the Rumble. I love it.
Yeah, man.
What if this leads to Sammy versus Priest at the Rumble as well?
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful story.
And we go here, finish the story, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be different. I want to pick JD. I've always liked Devlin, especially when he was in the cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
But he's missing. I agree, he's missing something, and that something is a group and a mouthpiece, which is the group.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Crown Jewel event. I was going to say the Saudi Arabia show, but it is a Saudi Arabia show. But it is the event called Crown Jewel for 2023. After talking about this with Fretz for almost an hour, there's a lot of interesting stuff that could happen on this show. A lot of interesting things that happen on the show, and I'm a little bit more excited for it now than when we first started. Overall, I'm going to give this show, when we're crowning it, 1 crown being the worst show in the world, 10 crowns being the best show ever, I'm going to crown this show. I predict this show will be a solid, because I don't think everything we're going to ask for is going to happen. Right now, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 crowns. I think it's going to be... Ironically, it's good. I predict it to be an average, quote-unquote average, premium live event. But something's going to happen that's going to surprise me that we're not going to see coming. It's probably going to bump up to like an 8 or an 8.5. But right now, I'm going 7.5 on paper. Fretz, what about you? How good do you think this show will be?
Going to be able to see all of it live again, work. I'll give it a solid 7. I mean, if I'm in during like the main event matches, perfect. And I'll catch the rest of it when I'm done doing my show stuff. But yeah, 7. I can see some things. If some things happen and bump it to the 8 and 9 levels, yeah, it'll be a good way to spend an afternoon.
Yeah, it is. WWE has had a recent track record of doing a really good job with their shows, especially their international shows, and making them great TV. WWE in general has really done a great job upping the intensity of all of our premium live events. Like, a lot of the times it was like, oh, they would just ramp it up for like a WrestleMania or like or a Royal Rumble or a SummerSlam. But in the past couple of years, every premium live event seems like a big deal. It really does. I think that's attributed to the international sales, in the international expansion of the premium live events, as well as the caliber of matches of the premium live events, and also the scarcity of matches of the premium live events outside of WrestleMania, where if you are on the card for these premium live events, you are on there for a reason. Gone are the days where we get 8, 9 matches, 4 or 5 hour shows. We're getting 5 to 7. This one's a little bit bigger, but 5 to 7, maybe even 8 at max matches. But everybody gets a chance to breathe. And wrestling has been all the better for it. WWE has been all the better for it. And so I expect this to be a great intensity level. I expect a lot of pyro. Saudi Arabia loves their pyro, and I expect that stage to be fantastic. It's one of those things that the stadiums in Saudi Arabia have. They have a lot of space, and WWE does a great job of making that seem like a huge deal. Like we're talking WrestleMania level stages, and I've always loved that about the Crown Jewel and other Saudi Arabia shows that they've had as well. But ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show this week. I want to thank Mr. Fretz for being on the show and predicting Crown Jewel with me. Mr. Fretz, do you have anything to plug before we get out of here?
Yes, for one thing, Big Vito of WCW fame just followed me on Instagram, so that's an
Oh,
interesting
yay.
thing. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads at Fretzlemania, Fretzle Mania. My podcast, I am currently actually doing the Attitude Era. For a good chunk of time, I was doing the Ruthless Aggression Era, but for several reasons, I thought I would shake things up just a little bit. This week, I'm dropping Armageddon 99, and that show sucks, except for one thing. A very monumental relationship begins at Armageddon 99. And do you know what that is?
Was that the beginning of the McMahon Helmsley regime?
That is. That's about the only memorable thing that came out of that show. And the cat got her tits out.
Oh, that episode. Okay, I got it. Oh, the cat.
Yeah. Yeah. We're leading into Royal Rumble 2000. And I'll say it here. You're coming on for that. That it's Cactus Jack versus Triple H. It's a fun show.
Yeah, those MSG shows from the late '90s, early 2000s were always must see and brutal TV to watch as well. So with that being said, let's get out of here and head to the post show, shall we? Deep breath, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Kings of the Rings podcast, episode number 357, Crown Fool. There are no fools on this show tonight, as I had one of the greatest pieces of Canadian royalty ever, Mr. Fretz, join me for Kings of the Rings podcast. You can find me at Ambassador Biggs across all social media outlets whenever I decide to return. Find Kings of the Rings podcast at KOTR _podcast across all social media outlets. Like, share, subscribe, leave us 5-star reviews. The links to all of our stuff are in the description below, including links to some of our fantastic merch, which I'm wearing a very, very comfortable hoodie that we have right now, and very comfortable and very warm because it got really freaking cold very, very quickly here in New York. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, make sure you're listening to us on Wrestle Addict Radio, the cure for the common wrestling podcast, home to the Fretzlemania podcast as well. Follow Wrestle Addict Radio at addict_wrestle on Twitter, because I refuse to call it X, and Wrestle Addict Radio everywhere else. The links again to all of that are in the description below. When we come back next week, or when I come back next week, or the week after that, I don't know. We might be doing 1 week. We might do bi-weekly. Depends on my mood. Since I'm pretty much holding down the fort until Will and Kay come back, I'll probably have a new guest, new things to talk about in wrestling. Tony Khan will have 7 new announcements, and we'll all probably have a good laugh about it. And so for Mr. Fretz, myself, Kings of the Rings podcast, and Wrestle Addict Radio, goodbye, good night. We'll see you soon. And Fretz, you are the Canadian on the show, so please send us off the way that I would usually do to your fellow countrymen.
You slack.
That's right. Fuck you, Slack. We'll see you guys soon. That is the real Crown Fool. See you later, folks. Ah, look who decided to join us for the post show. Don't you say shit right now. What's going on? Let's go.
Mr. Ritter.
Yeah, Mr. Ritter. Mr. Ritter, welcome to the post show. Listening quite well. I know you have, and it's not over right now, because actually I'm talking to you specifically right now. So, Mr. Ritter, you're gonna probably catch the rest of the show when I finish the editing and put the video and all the audio up. Will be tomorrow and whatnot. But Mr. Ritter, Will and Kay out indefinitely. I'm going to need a group of rotating guest hosts for the foreseeable future. You are invited, obviously. I believe. Do you have? I forgot. is it Katie? I think Katie is also invited. Just don't invite Vince. Just don't invite Vince.
Oh, get Kyle on the horn.
Oh no, Kyle from Apron Bum is also be on my short list. Will Gray of Bot Spots and Chair Shots also going to be on my list. But I'm going to need a rotating group of guest hosts to cover wrestling either weekly or bi-weekly, depending on my mood. Obviously, you're in. We'll talk more. We'll schedule it out. We'll work it on. We'll work on it to continue and everything. But thanks, Matt Ritter, for it. And I need you on anyway. Since one, we've never had you on the show, and I just need you to go off for like 4 or 5 minutes on my show about how much you despise a former WWE talent. I just
First guest game, by the way. And Ricky, our breaking announcements.
Do we have Tony Khan's announcement? What is it?
We do, but we also have a title change.
Who?
The ROH Trios titles changed hands on
Wait,
Dynamite
ROH had a Trios championship?
Yeah. Well, they actually had it like for the last 5-6 years of their first existence. So the champions were the Elite, but they are now Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony.
Oh yeah, Brian Cage is still a thing.
So Tony Khan and Nigel McGuinness announced that All In 2024 tickets will go on sale December 1st.
That was his big announcement?
This year's All In, okay, this website I'm at, wow, this is some nice grammar. This year's All In make history, and they want to rewrite history next year. Nigel cannot wait to see everyone in Wembley on August 25th.
Okay.
Yeah, so something for 9 months. I mean, I bought my Forbidden Door tickets around this time last year, but that was an event in June.
I mean, that.
And
Go ahead.
If it's in Toronto again next year, I'm going. Like, I'm going.
I mean, this
again.
is also a similar
awesome
model that WWE has used with WrestleMania in recent years. Because historically, when it was one night, it would go on sale around November. It has been recent they have started the on-sale process around August. July, August for WrestleMania. So they expanded it, and I get why AEW would do that as well. My issue is that every announcement by Tony Khan is like a big announcement, and I don't like that.
And it's not that big.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an update for AEW Fight Forever that was downloading while I was completing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's like their Instagram's like season 2 of AEW Fight Forever. Like, what the do you mean season 2? I mean, is there? I haven't played the game in a while, so because I've been on Spider-Man and Mario Wonder and Sonic Superstars. It's the season of gaming here. So.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh, fall is always a great gaming season. It's hard to leave the house.
And I'll be getting back into Returnal very soon as well, because I was having fun with that.
Whenever Tony has a major announcement, SmackDown and Raw has a major announcement. What is your major announcement this week, Matt?
Oh, it's what sex toy that you partnered with this time.
Oh my god.
Oh, and he says that he is at work when you record.
Yeah, it is a shame. Maybe we'll do maybe I'll do a special episode and I'll record it and then just put it I'll debut it one day. Like Britta, I can make some accommodations for you. And we can do a show we can do a late night show or something like that and just not live stream it, and then I'll just put it up, for that week or something like that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to nail down Matt too, but he's our differing schedules, because I typically work in the morning. Like I work at 8 tomorrow morning, so being on late is not. And I have inventory tomorrow too, so that's going to be fun.
I'm so sorry.
You know what? Grocery inventory is actually fine, because all we have to do is face the merchandise a certain way, and then people come in and count it. So what I have to do is just be up front.
Oh, so you're just facing. Facing's easy.
Facing's, yeah. But I'm a cashier mostly, so I'll be up doing they'll be counting the bags and the stuff that's at the front of the store. Like right now, we have stuff that's going to be on sale on Black Friday. At a grocery store, we have
Literally,
TVs
Halloween just
that
ended,
we put.
folks. Let's relax.
No, we put up like our Halloween candy was gone on the 30th.
Ha!
So our seasonal display, Christmas, just like that. Because there was two skids of it sitting in the back room.
Jesus. Um.
But that's uh that's retail because right now we're booking, let's see, we've already booked Easter, we've already booked. I think we're going to be doing next summer's confectionery very soon because you have to do it way in advance.
Yeah. No. I worked Walgreens for several years in grad school, so I get it. I did. I when I was working cashier, I hated facing because you can never get it done when you're the cashier because you always got to run back and forth to the cashier.
I did night
Oh,
shift,
lucky
so
you.
if there was times when I was just facing at night and it was just buds in
Put it all in. Yeah.
and on and on it.
Yeah.
And it's Tony Storm. Oh, that's the one thing that they're doing right is Tony Storm's timeless gimmick. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they have PLE like next. Oh, PSN, you just glitched out.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
Mornings during
nice.
the week too for Wednesday, Friday generally. Just need to let Travis know if he doesn't book me that day on Creation Conversation. Potentially. Oh. Oh, I have an idea. Huh. We'll be in talks, Matt Ritter. I potentially have an idea because I believe I'm off next Friday. Not this upcoming Friday, but next Friday. Because that's when my company is recognizing Veterans Day. So Ritter, we might be on to something. We might be on to something. So I'll definitely be DMing you on the KOTR page and we'll figure something out. But I have some ideas brewing, nonetheless. So, so friends, as we're talking here, I need to find something for you. Not find something. We need to find an Am I the Asshole? Oh, but I also want to highlight you, Fretz. I think something that you will enjoy. Just cause I'm forever the learner. So when I was at Comic Con, Mr. Fretz, I found, and I might have told you this, but I found this booth made up of sociologists and psychologists, my people. Um,
Yes.
and they created essentially what is known as geek therapy. And they wrote several books
Yeah.
as in like the psychology of Zelda or in the psychology of some other stuff. So they have like a whole training thing, and I bought a couple books. One book is this: integrating geek culture into therapeutic practice,
Okay.
which talks about
You had a meme one because I'm actually going to look at on online
yeah,
here.
yeah. I met the author of it, Shane Hilton, Meme Life, and it talks about the socio-cultural and psychological aspects of mimetic communication. Essentially, how we use memes as a way of communicating. Um,
And I
did
just
you find it?
I only found I found a Kindle version and an audio book.
Interesting. I'm in once I finish the Marvel MCU book, I'm probably gonna move to one of these. I don't know which ones yet.
And I saw those Marvel books that you had. I saw them at Chapters
Oh, the
like
bit
a
the
week
gold
ago.
plated ones, the hardcover ones.
Yeah, they look
Dude,
nice.
I just finished the Black Panther one before I went to the MCU one, so one down, five to go. My next one after once I get around back to those hardcover books, those are awesome, and I'm going to try to preserve them as best as possible. Like the Black Panther one is the only one that's out of a wrap. That's out of like the shrink wrap. Because I started reading it. The next
Right.
one I'm gonna do is the Captain America run. Like his original run is the Captain America one. Yeah, that's
That's
just,
good. I'm having some other ones over here. Like I have to read Infinity War. Like I read Infinity Gauntlet. Now I got to
I
read
also have
Infinity
Infinity Gauntlet,
War.
which I forgot that I
And there's
haven't
also
started reading yet either.
it's good. There's one, I think it takes place canonically after some events where Wolverine has the gauntlet.
Ooh.
and I think it's like Wolverine Infinity or something like that. So I put it on the list for the holidays. So if I get it, I'll probably start
So
reading it
here's a good
immediately.
chat that I'll probably read in one of these geek books. It says, "From the Hulk to Captain America: How Values and Emotions Influence Our Approach." Yeah, there's some
Okay.
interesting stuff here. For instance, one of the contents of this is the integrating geek culture into therapeutic practice. Uh, Introduction to Dungeons and Dragons, video games and introduction, the integration of play within video games and clinical practice. Because there's a whole realm of therapy called play therapy. It's used
Hmm.
mostly with children. You The layman's term of it is that you use play as a way to get children to open up and communicate with you. Ooh, this is an interesting chapter when I get to it. Finding identities: Why being a geek is socially powerful.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of works cited in this. The meme one seems pretty cool. Shane was a great guy to talk to. The author of it. When I met him, he has chapters like Chapter 1: Defining Memes, Active Layers of Mimetic Communication, Memes and, different types of theory, Industrial Memes, Memes as a Communicative Act. So there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff here. So if you ever can't get in contact with me, it's probably because I put my phone on like Do Not Disturb because I'm reading a book, probably.
I get it. It's that's completely fine. I'm not worried about when people get back to me because we all have
Yeah, no,
lives,
that
right?
that is very very true. But yeah, no, I'll be reading a lot since I bought a lot of books from Comic Con. I went to Comic Con. I bought a crap ton of books, which is the last thing I expected. But they're all going to be books that I enjoy thus far. Um,
I will soon I will very soon be buying my tickets for next year actually.
for Niagara.
Niagara Falls. Yep. I was talking to my friend and we agreed that we're going to do speed passes next
Ooh,
year.
have fun with that, sir.
It's it's $600 for the pair of them
600 for two. That's
because
not
it's just going to be
bad.
him and I.
Does the speed pass include
Yep. And
admission?
he said he'll yeah, it's like you get in there 30 minutes before the general public do and you get front of the line access to the photo
Okay.
ops and all that. So it'll be a bit more streamlined because this year's trip I felt was really rushed and it was packed. Like I did all I did was wait in line for photo ops and walk around and get merch. I didn't go tour the strip and get food. It was very cut and go. Just it was rushed and we were taking a friend of mine's relative. So, but I think it's just going to be him and I.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So,
and also, Fritz, if you ever find you're in a situation where you can get your way to New York Comic Con, by all means, I would love to host you.
oh, that would be awesome. That's the dream is to do a event of some kind with you and or the rest of the crew involved as well. Like it
Comic Con
has to
would be a
happen.
fun one for you, especially if we're able to get into a lot of like panels and stuff. And I kind of know the Comic Con terrain now and know how kind of that event functions, so I'll be able to kind of guide you through it, and stuff like that. But it was a fun time, man. It was a really really fun time and stuff. It met a lot of cool people. A lot of cool. I had a conversation with a Trekkie, which was really fun. Yeah, no, it's a
Nice.
fun time. Just gotta bring your good walking shoes. That's all.
Yep. Oh, I know. I did that for this one.
Bring your good walking shoes, for that. But yeah, no, it's I'm trying to drag more people there, and luckily I did a survey, and hopefully I get selected to win two free tickets. So if I win two free tickets to Comic Con next year
Mm.
because I did one of their like exit surveys, Fretz, you just gotta get a plane ticket here or something.
Okay, I've
Oh,
never
you never
flown
flown.
and I've never flown on my own, so we'll see how that goes.
Either way, I know I we as long as you can get to New York City, I can get you, friends.
There we
That's
go.
all that matters. I can get to, if you can get to New York City, I can get you, and you'll have a place to crash and all that fun nerdy stuff. My a friend of mine is going to her first con this weekend. So there's Rhode Island Comic Con, not as big,
Good.
but run essentially by the same people who do New York Comic Con. It's just a lower tier con, but it's her first con.
Mhm.
She's going with with a group of her friends or two of her friends, who are both big geeks and nerds and stuff, and they go to Rhode Island Comic Con all the time. And she's very excited because she's going to take a picture with the cast of Cool Runnings.
Oh, that's amazing.
So this
That's
is
good.
also a friend of mine who I have been, as I'm looking up Rhode Island Comic Con right now, who I have been slowly indoctrinating into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, and
Very good.
so her friends that goes to Rhode Island Comic Con with, or is going to Rhode Island Comic Con with, um, we had them over my place so she can watch Infinity War, just so she can get all the support that she needs, because she didn't see it coming. She didn't see it coming. She was so mad. she was she was so mad after Infinity War, and so you'll enjoy. I played a game with her. So what I did with her is, you'll be able to see it, but I literally, Fretz, you can see here, I literally printed out all of the protagonists leading into Infinity War. So all the protagonists
Okay.
leading into Infinity
Wow.
War, and I gave her all of these, and I pretty much said, there are people in this list that may not make it out of this movie. Figure out who they are.
Oh, that's twisted. Oh, oh, that's good.
She got some right. There were some we had to give to her because they essentially die off screen. Like Aunt May doesn't make it out. Ned as well,
Right.
and things like that. And so she like started panicking. Like, and so after Gamora died, she's like, I need to take a break.
I was watching that in theaters.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that with Charles, and I went to see Infinity War together. Um and you know what it felt like to me? Did you and you I know you're of the Christian faith. I know in the Lutheran faith, when it's Good Friday, you're supposed to leave the church in silence. Like no one's supposed to speak.
Yeah.
That's
It was funny about that. My one of my pastors was
uh-huh.
sitting beside me, like with his family, like watching the same thing, and like, yeah, it was a quiet car ride home with my
Yeah,
neighbor.
that's what it felt like leaving. Like everybody just left in silence. It
Yep,
it was. I
I
was like,
remember
my
that.
God. So, and this past weekend, which is why I didn't watch SmackDown Live, we finally got to Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay, I have not seen, but you
Not
can spoil it.
Quantumania.
It's okay. I haven't seen any
Oh, you
Ant-Mans.
should.
It's fine.
Ant-Man's really funny. Yeah.
I've seen,
You
yes.
have to go into Ant-Man realizing that Paul Rudd is not a serious actor.
Oh, I know he's not. I've seen him in countless comedies.
Exactly.
He's
And so
not.
if you're expecting a serious version of Paul Rudd, you're not going to get it, but that's what makes it really good. It's Paul Rudd being himself. So in the ending of Ant-Man and the Wasp, essentially they find this new character named Ghost who's going to show back up again in Thunderbolts, and they find Hank Pym's wife Janet in the quantum realm. She comes out of the quantum realm. She has all these healing powers, and she has all this knowledge of the quantum realm, which sets up Quantum Mania. So the first post credit scene of Ant Man and the Wasp is that they're experimenting with the quantum realm so they can get some of these healing particles to help out people in need. So they're on a rooftop in this makeshift quantum tunnel engine, the same one that's in Endgame with the weird horn. That one. Yeah, that's from
Oh,
Ant Man.
okay.
So essentially, they send Ant-Man into the quantum realm, Scott Lang, into the quantum realm to pick up these healing particles. And he's like, while he picks these up, he's like, "Hey guys, I'm ready. Bring me back out." And he never gets brought out because Hank Pym, the Wasp, and Janet Pym all get snapped as soon as he goes into the quantum realm. So that's how he shows up. That's why he comes out of the van in Endgame, because he had been stuck in the quantum realm, not knowing what's going on. That's why he's so perplexed.
Oh, that's right. And isn't wasn't canonically like the day Tony Stark the day that happened was like a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago,
something like that. Yeah,
which is kind of
yeah. It is.
strange,
Well, the day
scary.
that the original snap happened is also the same day that the Pims disappeared. So Ant-Man and the Wasp takes place at the same time as Infinity War.
Hmm.
Essentially, is what happens. And I do know it's my next book on my list on Amazon. Marvel came out with an official MCU timeline book that's selling like
Oh,
hotcakes.
no.
Uh,
I'm
yeah,
looking
it's
that
called
up
like
right now.
official MCU timeline. It's on my Amazon list. It's like 45 American or something like that. But it is now
It's like holy fuck,
so
it's
I
sixty
was about right.
dollars.
So it's the definitive like canonical timeline of the MCU. It's like no one can argue right now after this. Yeah.
Right.
So
Save the
yes,
date.
it's on my list too.
I, I got some Christmas presents in my Amazon list right now, so I'll have to hold off
I
on
will tell you,
that.
Fretz, I'm looking at the Rhode Island Comic Con. There's a lot of great stuff here, like the voice of Storm, probably a '90s female icon for all of us teens in the '90s. Amy Jo Johnson, aka the Pink Rain.
She was at she was at Niagara one year, and it was either she canceled or was there a different day than me and I couldn't go, or she was always lined up. And I was 3 feet away from Kevin
That's
Conroy,
awesome.
and I didn't get the chance. I didn't get the chance to meet him. Well, because his panel was running
Ah,
late, and I'm like, well, I had, and just over a couple of rows over there, nobody was there. Road Warrior
oh,
Animal. I go over there. I talked to him for a couple of minutes about Hawk, about his son and his football career that was just finishing at
Laurinaitis.
that point. And, yeah, and then I went back, and Conroy was there, and he was, hi everybody, do. Everyone was trying to get in to get to his booth, and then boom, Animal dies after that. Kevin Conroy dies after that. Just
Wow,
oh,
crazy times,
so
man.
close. And I was also like a few feet away from Mr. Feeny
Ha.
because his no, to me he's Knight Rider
Okay, because he's
because
Kit.
I'm
I get
old.
it.
He's Kit, and Kit's car was here, and what was over here beside it? The Trailer Park Boys shipmobile,
Oh, the Will Gray.
and
What's
that's
going
when.
on, Will Gray?
Oh,
Late to
hello,
the
Will.
yeah, the other
I
Will.
scooted.
Late to the party. We're just post show. We're just BSing right now. We're talking about Comic Cons and whatnot, Mr. Will Gray. But Will Gray, well, I'll be talking to you soon. I'm going to need some guest hosting for the next foreseeable future, because I've temporarily lost other Will for right now. So if you want to be on, we'll schedule some time for you to get back on here. Second time showing up, and things like that. But back to the con stuff. Why we're really here. I'm booking November. You busy man, you. But yes, we do. You know who else is going to be at this Rhode Island Comic Con, Fretz? Anthony Daniels. That should ring a bell to you.
Isn't that who you were just talking
Anthony
about?
Daniels?
Wait, no, that's William Daniels. That's
Yeah.
Mr. Sorry, William Daniels is Mr. Feedy, and he was on a scooter
Anthony,
right by
that's
me.
awesome. Anthony Daniels is C3PO.
Oh, okay, that's good. what are I'm intrigued what the wrestlers are there because a lot of them, because Hamilton has a Comic Con, like, and Frightmare, Niagara Falls at the convention center just had Frightmare on the Falls, and their horror guests are usually a precursor to who is coming to Comic Con
Hmm.
the next year. And one person that was confirmed for Frightmare on the Falls, which surprised the heck out of me because he's been in awful shape all year until recently. Bam
Oh
Margera.
boy. And yeah, no, definitely DM me, Will Gray. As I'll definitely love to be on your show. I got some time, but I need you on the show as well. Bam Margera, yeah, there's a lot of interesting '90s characters. The guy who played the Iron Sheik in Young Rock is going to be on. Is going to be at Rhode Island Comic Con.
Oh, as Brett Azar. He is such a good Instagram follow.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Carrie Ann Moss is going to be there, who's awesome. Trinity.
Oh,
LeVar,
okay.
LeVar
We
Burton.
need to. By the way, Ricky, we need to update our tips for the crown
Yeah, I
here.
know. It's what I like. I for some reason there's always like one minute thing I forget to update, but I'll do it the next time around.
Right.
Darby Allin's gonna be there. Britt Baker. A lot of the Supermen are gonna be there. Dean Cain, Brandon Roth. Oh, Dustin Rhodes is gonna be there. Let me see. There's a lot of good ones. Famke Jensen, the original Jean Grey, and also a Bond girl. Yeah, she
Oh,
was in one of the Pierce Brosnan Bonds. Who else is going to be there? I know some of the girls.
Halle
Not
Berry.
Halle
Not
Berry.
Halle Berry. Because Halle
Halle
Berry was
Berry
in.
was a Bond girl.
Oh shit. Yeah,
I want to
Goldeneye,
say
right?
yes. Murray from Impractical Jokers.
There is no celebrities announced for Niagara Falls Comic Con yet, but I can buy tickets.
Kevin Nash is going to be there. Big
He,
sexy.
he was hit. The NWO was supposed to be at my first con, and they well, Scott Hall couldn't get to the border, and the rest of them. Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash was doing Magic Mike XXL, and Hulk Hogan
So
didn't
all
come.
some other great. This is a great road. This is a great con. Lou Ferrigno,
He was at Niagara.
Marissa
Yep.
Tomei. Yeah.
Ooh,
Matt Hardy. Excellent. A lot of the Futurama cast is going to
one.
be there. Some voices of Scooby Doo.
Phil Marsh. Let me guess. Phil
Mm-hmm.
Marsh will be there.
Orange Cassidy's showing up. Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother. Ron Perlman, great fucking guess. Oh, Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner.
Largest arms in
Seth
the world,
Green,
baby.
what a character.
Oh, that would be. I would love Seth Green.
Seth, TC Carson was really cool. Triumph the Insult Comic Dog. Yes, Triumph the
What?
Insult Comic Dog.
Okay, they need to have him. And are you familiar with Much Music?
Yeah, I am.
They need to have him and Ed the Sock at the same time.
That sucks. Sam Raimi was not able to make this Comic Con, and neither is Joey Fatone. Oh well. So, but yeah, I can con out forever. But Fretz, you need to get some sleep. You have inventory to do, and I have editing to do. So
And I'm dying because I put water down
yep.
the
Oh boy,
wrong
that's
way.
don't. You got it. You got it. Keep coughing. Keep coughing. It'll get there. There it
There
is.
it is. It's
There it
fine.
is. All right. So it's time to get out of here, folks. Thank you guys for joining us. Will Gray, Matt Ritter. I'm going to be DMing you guys. I'm going to need some co-hosts for foreseeable future. So until the next time I'm on, see ya.
Nice.
Midnight music.